Hey everyone, my name is Janique, nurse turned real estate investor, landlord, entrepreneur, podcast host of the Champagne Nurse Unscripted. You're listening to Real Conversations with Sheeta and Nikki, and I am today's featured guest. So let's get right into it.
Lunch breaks, outtakes, we know how to vibe. Interviews, interviews, latest news. Read your comments too. What are you thinking? Ooh, have lunch with us too. Conversations with you. Real conversations with Sheeta and Nikki. Real conversations with Sheeta and Nikki. Yeah. Real conversations with Sheeta.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Real Conversations with Sheeta
and Nikki.
And y'all, today we have an amazing featured guest sitting right with us this time. Yeah. Please welcome Janique Dismute, who received and obtained her BSN in nursing. She currently is a travel nurse, a podcaster, and recently has entered the field of real estate ownership, y'all.
Yes. Janique, also known as the Champagne Nurse, has a motto that she likes to go by, known as the Pinky Finger Lifestyle. We will talk with Janique about her experiences as a travel nurse, her road to BSN, and so much more. So welcome to the show, Janique.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes. We have an in-person guest today, y'all.
Yes.
So Nicole is excited.
Yes, I'm very excited. This is my god niece, y'all. This is my god niece, and I'm so proud of her. I've saw like her on her road to being a nurse. I was like, we got a nurse in the family now. So I'm excited.
That's my favorite line.
Yes, and I shall be calling Janique, what is this? What you think? Should I do this, that? So it's good. So I'm excited to have you here, and I've really seen you blossom. So yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited. I remember when Nicole first told me about the startup of the podcast, and I be going back. I'm like, wow. I'm like, they done a lot. I'm like, they done blossomed.
Oh,
I'm proud. I'm happy for y'all. It's going up. I told Nicole, I'm like, look at what it's gonna be a year from now.
Wow.
And look, y'all got it off the ground. I'm so proud of y'all. So happy for y'all.
Thank you so much.
Look, we gonna look back on this next year and like, look what y'all done did.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Another year.
Yes, I'm ready for it. Okay. Yes. So let's start off. Like, what made you get into the field of nursing?
So my mom has always worked in healthcare, and everybody's like, "Oh, your mom's a nurse." She's not a nurse. She works in registration. And she's always done that since I was younger. She actually worked at Michael Reese when I was in like grammar school. And she always worked long shifts. She worked doubles. So a lot of times she would get out for work and we would have to go to work with her sometimes and sit like in the back office. And at this time she's working in the emergency room. So coming in and out, I would get like a glimpse of the hustle and bustle of the emergency room. I'm like, I like that. Like, what is that? You know, I'm like, I don't want to be a doctor though. And then I found out about nurses. I'm like, I can do this and not go to medical school. I want to be a nurse.
Exactly.
That's what I want to do. So going on through life. So this started like as a kid. I experienced loss when I was a teenager. I lost my daughter. So that kind of solidified that with the experience I had going in the hospitals. And dealing with the doctors, I had a very bad experience with the doctor, bedside manner, which is horrible. And then I had like a 360 in the care and everything I received, at that time from the nurses mainly was really good. And I was like, I want to be that for somebody, in that time of need. So it's just something that just always stuck. I knew that was what I wanted to do for sure.
Yeah, that's great because you know what, it takes a lot in the field of nursing, especially like what we're going through right now in the midst of this pandemic. So I know, personally speaking for myself, I used to work in the hospital and I used to work in the ICU as a coordinator. So I would see those patients coming straight out the OR, and just those nurses, they were on it. You know, no offense to the doctors, but we all used to say in the hospital that the nurses is the one that's doing everything.
Yeah.
They tell the doctors, we need an order for this and that, and the doctors will write it.
Right.
The nurses are like right on it. Like they're doing like 90% of the care, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically the ones that's there 24/7 outside of the CNAs. We're the one there all the time. So
right.
Being that difference. So you'll have a bad experience with a doctor, but that nurse, might make that difference.
Exactly.
Yeah. You definitely have to be like a unique, you really have to have like a kind heart to be a nurse. Like that job isn't for everybody. Everybody isn't cut out for it.
Yeah.
So it definitely takes a unique individual, a special, person to really do, be a nurse.
Yeah.
You got to juggle a lot of hats, and that spills into home a lot of times. Because I'm used to juggling like 1,000 things, at one time. But it's good. I mean, we are in trying times right now in healthcare, but ultimately, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah. And I also heard that like nurses are always well prepared.
Yeah,
like they always have to be prepared.
You have to. You have to. You drop staff. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody knew that the whole thing with the pandemic. My first day as a nurse was the day that the government shut down.
Wow.
That was my first day as a nurse.
Wow.
Yeah. Was that first?
Wow.
I always tell my people, that's how I started my career.
Yes.
Yeah. The day they did the government shutdown and they had to go through. They was passing out letters. It's like, the families couldn't come in no more. So the managers was getting ready to go home. And they was like, so we smacking these notices on the door. Family can't come. They're going to be calling. Phones was off the chart. Families was, why we can't come in here? Yeah. It was crazy.
Right.
It was crazy. As nobody, I never in a million years thought that I think about that stuff, the natural disasters, the, having to respond to like the mass shootings, the casualties, and all that stuff. But I know about the pandemics. I never would have thought that I would have actually worked through something like this in my career, and so soon. Yeah, I would have never thought. And the pandemic is technically not even over.
Right, it's not. It's been like 3 years now.
Yeah, exactly.
Still dealing with.
Yeah. So that's what I want to kind of touch on as somebody that's been on the front lines during this pandemic. What was your experience like? We've all seen on TV how the nurses have had that print on their face from wearing their mask so much. How was your experience as far as nursing? What was your personal feelings? Were you scared? Did you feel like I'm thinking about changing careers because I'm new to this and now I'm in a pandemic? Like, what was your experience like during this time?
So as far as the job situation, changing careers, that never really crossed my mind. The one thing I knew for sure, job security. We were one of the few that we didn't miss a beat on work. So, in that aspect, we were blessed, so to say, depending on what area you worked in. I was acute care, so we didn't miss a beat on that. But I had that feeling of, being scared, the uncertainty that everybody else experienced because, going into work, we were right in the heart of it, every day. Then we got to go home to our families or whatever. I have asthma that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, but that was a big thing. And asthmatics were vulnerable to the situation. And, with the PPE shortage, that was a big thing. We went through that. We're having to wear our equipment for like weeks, in different times like that. And it what they were saying on the news about that was very true, and it was opposite of everything that we were taught about how to use this equipment, how long it lasts. It's like, okay, normally this is a one-time use, but now you tell us we got to use it for a week. And it was like trying to get a new mask was like trying to hit the lottery. And it's like, like what we supposed to do, and you know, going in and possible exposure. It was rough. It was uncertain because then it's like, oh, did I get it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was always that feeling, and then knowing I didn't have like small children or anything like that. It was just me, and then my boyfriend would be over, but I wasn't around anybody when I went home. So I think for me, I was a little more comfortable, you know, with that. Like I had my nephew. I know he was smaller at the time. So that kind of comforted me a little bit because I know I wasn't going home and like spreading it to my family, you know, stuff like that. So I think after we kind of figured it out a little bit more, you know, it kind of calmed down for us in healthcare, at least for me, way before it did in the world. So around the time when the world opened back up, we was able to go back outside. Like we were a little more comfortable, you know, in the workplace. Like, okay, we kind of know how to navigate. And my biggest thing is like, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you know, you got a little bit less of a worry, so to say. You know, I would try to make sure I kept my mask, because if I come back to work, we don't got a mask. They expect you to still do your job, and that's the thing. We like one of the few that can't say, "No, I'm not going to do this today." Like we can't just walk out of work. You know, that's abandonment. You know, so it was kind of like you kind of had to chalk it up, or you basically you lost your career. You lose your career. That's kind of what the reality was of the situation, and a lot of people walked away. A lot of people walked away from nursing, and I had new grads. A lot of people I've talked to, they say I got maybe five years in me, and that's people that probably started around the time I did. They like I might have 5 more years, and that's it. The pandemic aged nurses like 5-10 years. Like, I mean, we got great experience, you know, exposure, but at the same time, everybody burnt out. So and that's the I don't want to say backlash, but the domino effect that we're feeling now, all the burnout from the heart of the COVID. And when I started, I was in a nursing home when COVID was first still high, so I wasn't in the hospital. By the time I got in the hospital, I'm not gonna say calm down, but it wasn't. They had kind of figured out
what to do,
things a little more. So I didn't see the hospital side of that. And I mean, I've heard stories. Everybody tired. Nurse, healthcare, everybody tired.
I can see that, because everyone is like, oh, that's good money. Y'all gonna get good money, but if you're tired, you know, is the money even really worth it per se? You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you know, a lot of times too, like you shouldn't just be looking, especially into the medical field, for just getting into this for the money aspect. You know what I'm saying? Like how you said earlier, you really have to have a heart for that. You know what I'm saying? So
that's when I feel like that's when you really have to find what your purpose is. Because if you know what your purpose is, you have a greater window of, you know, what your goals are in life. So if you really are focused on what your goals are in life and what your purpose is, you're more likely to stay in that career, you know, if that career is satisfying you in that way. You know what I'm saying? You have a greater chance of staying in that field because you know what your purpose is. If you know, it can't just be about money. Because if that's the case, you're not
and that's what they say. They say don't go into for the money. I talk to people now because, you know, it's public knowledge of the money that nurses was making at that time. People like, oh, I'm gonna go to nursing school right now. I said, you gotta really, I feel you on the money, but you gotta, like you said, you gotta have a heart, you gotta have a skin. You know, we not I feel like nursing is very glorified right now because of social media. So it looks like, you know, and I said it's not like that. Y'all not seeing, you know, the behind the scenes. You got to go and tell this family member, you know, that they just lost, you know, their family. You got to sit there with somebody in their last hours, you know, their last minute. You sitting there watching somebody take their last breath. You have to clean them up, get them ready, you know, once they pass. It's like, it's more than just
them 5 seconds you see on TikTok or
the Grey's
whatever.
Anatomy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All of
The
that.
glamorized part of
Right,
it. But now you got to get dirty too.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's mentally taxing. I mean, you get attached to your patients and stuff. I'm like, I watched one of my good friends. She lost, it was like 2 or 3 patients, I think, in like a day or 2 days.
Wow.
And she's a good nurse, strong, and she like broke down, and I was like,
wow.
Yeah, tired.
Yeah.
So you gotta have the skin to get into it. So I always tell people, I'm like, if you're not in healthcare, go get something that's maybe be a CNA. Like I took I went climbing the ladder, and it's hard. Nursing school hard, first of all.
Yeah,
and it's,
I couldn't do none of that. My sister's a nurse. I'm like, okay. I don't want to do that.
I was like, I spent all that time, all those years, getting this degree. I'm like, no, I got to put some years into this. I earned this. I worked for this. I got to stay put for a while, So, I mean, that's just my take on it. But you definitely can't go into it for the money. Stop watching TikTok and all of that and seeing what it look like.
Right. The glamorized version.
Right. Yeah. So what would you say, like, on your road to being a nurse, what advice would you give to that new nurse to kind of help them through nursing school? And also, you just recently, got your BSN as well. So what do you say, what advice do you have to the new nurses out there?
Starting off, I was very stubborn, first of all, going into college. And I wanted to go to a 4-year. I had to go to university. I was like, no, start at a 2-year. So I went to 4-year, went to university, all to end up back at a community college, getting my nursing degree. And I was beat up about it at first because my goal was always the BSN, and I didn't want to do the 2-year. And I was like, oh, now it's taking longer. And it took me a while to accept that it's just I'm delayed, not denied. It took me a really long time to like accept that, but I didn't give up. You gotta be determined, and if it's what you want to do, stick to it. It took me. I originally started college in 2011. I was accepted into a nursing program. So I should have graduated in 2014 is when I should have graduated and been a nurse. So I would have been about 21, 22. And fast forward, I finished school as a nurse in 2019. And then I went back that next year and did the BSN program. So along the route, I was a CNA. I did pharmacy tech. I was a sitter. So I never gave up. I always, stayed down that healthcare path because it was what I wanted to do. So if it's something you want to do, you're gonna hit some bumps in the road. You're gonna hit some bumps, but stick to it. And once you get to the end of it, the fact that you went through so much and stuck with it and you finish, that reward is gonna be like I can't even describe. Like it's gonna be that much better. I still cry sometimes now that I'm done, like because I'm just happy that I stuck with it and I went through and I'm doing everything that I said I would. Like I said, I tell people looking to go into nursing school or that are in nursing school, I said, have you ever sat back and talked to a nursing student? I said, nobody ever said it was easy. Nobody ever said they had a great time in school. Right. Never. I said, nobody ever said it was easy. Right. So I said, it's not. I said, it's not. It's rough, and you got to stick to it. You got to be disciplined. And I had cut back on work. I had to when I was in school, or I wasn't gonna make it. I said, some people don't have to. Some people keep working 2 jobs and have, kids and all this and the other. I said, you got to figure out what works for you. And definitely, I would say talk to like your more seasoned nurses. Find like-minded friends or friends that have something in common, because that helps so much too. Talking, I'd be like, go to work and talk to the nurses. I said, I guarantee you at least half of them nurses gonna tell you they didn't get through on the first time. They had setbacks. But I mean, that's motivation for you to keep going. So I definitely would say do that. And it's not to discourage you. I feel like it's more to motivate you. Like people look at me and I got people, they're like, I'm struggling in school right now. They like, do you have study tips? And I'm like, I can tell you what worked for me. It might not work for you, but I didn't graduate on time. My last semester in nursing school, I failed one of my classes, so I had to go back to repeat, and that just like devastated me too.
Yeah.
But but the whole thing is stick with it.
Yes.
You might fall, just keep getting back up.
Yeah.
Keep getting back up and use your resources.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about how you started from like you was in a nursing home and in the hospital. So, but now you're a travel nurse.
Yep. So
how did you kind of transition from working in the hospital to like traveling?
So I always wanted to do travel nursing. I found out about that from going to work with my mom too. She worked with a doctor, ER doctor. She's like, yeah, she traveled. I'm like, oh, you can do that? And then she's like, nurses can do that. I'm like, oh, really? You can travel, do your career, do what you love, and travel and see the world. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And originally, pre-pandemic, you have to have 2 years experience, a year to 2. Yeah, but when the pandemic happened, it opened like the gateway for us to do it sooner. So some people were able to go right out of nursing school, which to each his own. But a lot of people don't know when there is like a natural disaster or like a emergency, it's all hands on deck. So when I was in nursing school, my first semester, I think maybe like our second week of school, when the what was the hurricane that happened in Texas around like 2000, when did I start school? 17, 18. The big one. Was it Katrina? I don't think it was Katrina.
No, that was New Orleans. Okay.
It might have been Harvey, but one of those natural disasters that happened down there, all hands on deck. They said if y'all want to go to work right now, y'all can go to in nursing school. It's all hands on deck.
Wow.
So you're not necessarily going down there to do nursing work. So like they would have probably utilized us to do like CNA work. But they need all the resources. So when this happened, it was similar. So you can go down, you can go work.
Wow.
Without the 2 years, experience or whatever. And they utilize you to your capabilities. So that's how it happened sooner for me, because I found out, I'm like, oh, okay, we can go now. So I was waiting on the chance. I was like, okay. At this point, I was at a year of experience. I was like, okay, I'm comfortable, let's try it out. So opportunity came up for me to go local, which is usually, they say less than 50 miles is local. So I do local, and I do local-ish. I call that anywhere in Illinois. And I've also traveled out of state. So the opportunity came up, and I was like, well, let me try it before I leave my job full time. And I tried it for 3 weeks. I was there for like 2 days, and I said, yep, travel life is for me.
So when you're traveling, are you going to visit different hospitals or nursing homes? Where are you going? Like what facility?
Whichever. So like right now with the pandemic, like we can do clinics. You can even do school nursing. So it's pretty much all still the same. You can do it as a home health nurse. So like with the vaccinations and stuff, they need the vaccination clinics that they were doing. They needed people to do the vaccinations, or the COVID testing centers. That was a big thing at about that time, which they still have. Like during seasonal, they have like the flu clinic. So that's something they would need people to do. I primarily do nurse hospitals. So I go to the different hospitals. But yeah, you can do nursing home. You can do home health. You can even do case manager. You can do pretty much the same thing you can do as staff, but you go to different facilities. Yeah. So the travel nursing, you get like a lot of autonomy and independence, because essentially, like, I don't have a manager. I just have my agency. It's a lot of freedom.
I like that.
I would say that. You can like get your vacations in. Like I plan my jobs around my vacation versus my vacations around my job. So like now I'm looking for a job. I got my vacation days. I'm like, I need this. Then I ain't got to fight to find nobody to work for me.
Right.
So that's been amazing in itself. I'm like, even if the money go, to the wayside, independence. I love that, the freedom.
That's definitely a benefit. And like you said, you you schedule your work days around your vacation versus the other way around. Because working a 9 to 5, that's typically how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to schedule, try to get days off, or whatever.
Exactly.
But yeah, with that type of flexibility, that's great.
Yeah.
So it's definitely how you were describing, all the hard work you put in. It's definitely paying off to where you have that freedom. All you have to do is just put that work in, stay focused, and now it's not easy at times, but you still have that. It's paid off.
It's paid off.
So where you have that freedom and luxury that you worked for.
Yeah.
And I tell nurses even now, like new nurses, they're like, "Oh, I want to travel. You only traveled at a year," and I say, you have to make sure you got to go back. This is what you need to make sure. Get a checklist at work. The checklist they check you off of. I said you need to go through that list and make sure you can do everything that you get checked out by yourself. Because at the end of the day, regardless of the money, you got to protect your license. If you go out here and you do some stuff, now you ain't got your career that you didn't work hard. So I'm like, so at the end of the day, you have to think about that. And then, like I said, we don't have managers, so we kind of just going into the hospitals and you kind of, for the most part, representing yourself. So you don't have anybody to go to. So and it's known that people don't really like travel nurses coming in the hospital. So they gonna be. So people try to be funny when you go in there. So I'd be like, get your experience. It's gonna always be there. Travel nurses not going nowhere.
So what is the issue with travel nurses coming in? Is it like, are they looking at you all like you're not just here to really work, you're just here for money, or what is it?
Everybody got their own opinion. A lot of people like to think that travel nurses are supposed to know everything. They're usually more seasoned because they go all over the place. But that doesn't mean, like I typically do tele, which is cardiac and med surge. I can't go and operate in the ICU.
No,
you know what I'm saying? So they you should be able to do everything. No, that's some myth that has come up. I said, because I can't go and apply for an ICU job. So when I come in this hospital, you can't go and throw me in ICU.
Right.
Maybe as like a resource, but not to take care of that level of patient, because I don't have that level of experience. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I always tell people, you have to advocate for yourself. I'm a huge advocate. I advocate for myself. I advocate for my patient. I advocate for my team. I'm like, you have to. I said, because you can't, just because they said you need to go do this, you don't have to. If you can't, you need to say, hey, I don't have that experience to do this. Hey, I don't know how. And that's not saying you're not going to learn. Even on the floor, it's a lot of stuff I ain't seen. I've never seen that. Come on, come show me. Come teach me. That's how I am. And that's how I've been able to, advance faster, because I'm be willing to learn. So I don't know. It's just, it's just a whole thing about that. People are like, oh, y'all coming in here, and they feel like because you're making more money, you're supposed to do more work at XYZ. And
there's a lot. There can be a lot of misconceptions. Especially with nursing. A lot of different careers, because people aren't well informed on what. Maybe what the capabilities of a nurse are, or they don't know that just because you're a nurse in one aspect doesn't mean you're fluent in another,
Another field. That's like babies. That's not my thing. I call my friends that specialize in babies. I'd be like, hey, what's going on? Like, I don't know. That's not my area to be. I don't know it. So, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna pretend that I know it. That's a whole different world. So I mean, it's good. It's rewarding. It's very beneficial. Like I said, you learn so much. I learned a lot. It's been a year now since I've been traveling, and I've learned like so much. Like my thing was, I always laugh. I'm like, I'm gonna be an IV guru, and like I'm like good at it now. I'm like, It's like
Janique, she gonna get them things.
So it's like you set little goals and little stuff. So it's good. Like get different certifications and stuff, and trying to challenge yourself to go into different areas. It's good. I love it.
That's great.
So you started a podcast called The Champagne Nurse.
Yes, The Champagne Nurse Unscripted. Yes. And it's been good. So I'm gonna be honest. I kind of feel like I fell to the wayside with it. I'm trying to learn because I'm doing everything by myself. So I'm trying to learn the editing, and then like my second episode, I was telling Nicole, I was like, I did my second episode, and I recorded, and I went back and listened after I had published it, and the sound is horrible. And I was like, oh, I want to take it down. She's like, no, don't take it down. Just keep pushing, it's learning. And I was like, I want to take it down and redo it. And she's like, no, just push. And that's what I'm learning, to not, like, I am like such a critic of myself.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to not be so critical. Just do it. It's gonna work itself out.
Yeah.
It's trial and error. So that's like at the top of my list right now, to kind of get back to that and finally get my third episode out. But the podcast, it's I talk a lot about nursing because that's what I do. The travel nursing. I'm in a relationship of 3 years now, so we talk a little bit about that. Talk about my many entrepreneur journeys. And then the real estate. A lot of people like to know about that. So just life. Just life.
Yeah.
And that idea came up because I get on like Snapchat, and I just be talking. Everybody's like, you need to be on a show, on a podcast. And a couple people kept saying, he's like, you got a lot to say. You should say something. So one day I was sitting up and I just had this energy. I said, you know what? I'm like, let's do it. And I set up for like a whole weekend, like going over it. I'm like, okay, we're going to do it like this. We're going to do it like this. And then I just like, just launched it.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing, like with me right now, like I like to watch my numbers. I'm like, I got to stop doing that.
That's how we was when we started our podcast.
Yeah,
even like, I was like, girl, stop looking at them numbers. Don't worry about that.
It's like, it's going to get there. And so, and like y'all were like a good, like a motivation, because I saw, how y'all started and how well it's been going, and y'all, the features that y'all do and the book series that y'all did. I'm like, y'all have done so much with it. Even the holiday mini episodes y'all was doing. I'm like, y'all have done so much. And I'm like, so that was like some motivation for me. And then I be motivating people and telling people to do other stuff. I'm like, maybe I need to take some of my own advice and do some stuff. So it's been good. It's been good. I just got to get back to it. I feel like I don't know, like my energy's just been like up and down. So I'm like, I just gotta get back into it. Cause I'm like, it's something I started and I really want us to do it. And I know it's gonna be a great thing. So it's something I don't want to give up on. So I just gotta get back into it and finish publishing my episodes and stuff. And then hopefully once I get back, y'all gonna come and have a conversation with me.
I would love to.
Just chop it up and have a little conversation.
Have some champagne while we talk.
You gotta do that. That can be her niche. Every time she has someone come on, have a champagne.
Look, I'm not encouraging alcohol. So you get your water, your green smoothie, like you got over here, whatever is your thing. But I like some champagne.
The champagne is for 21 and up.
Get your Starbucks if you got to, if you're not 21. But definitely have y'all come on there. It's gonna be good. I'm excited to see, how it develops in this next year. I'm like, I set my baby to the side. I'm gonna pick up.
As long as you know it's there, you can always start again or keep going. Because it's yours. So you can create it the way you want to. You can have whoever. That's what I like about the podcast, our podcast, because it's like we're the creators behind it. So whatever we want to happen, we make it happen.
That is like the best thing of like this is essentially an entrepreneur, thing that you guys are doing too, and that's like one of the best things. You make the rules, you control, whatever you want to do. You got the creative control over all of it. That's something that I love, because I'm like, I don't gotta answer nobody. I don't gotta use
exactly. Exactly. So that's great. And I know you gonna do good, because anything Janique set her mind to, she's gonna blow it out the water. So
man, my mind be so busy. I was thinking on the way over here, I made a goals list earlier this year, and this list it's like this long.
Oh wow!
And it's like, set the bar high, and just knock them down. If you don't finish them out, roll them over to next year.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of short-term goals, long-term goals, small things.
Yeah.
So I'm even excited for that. And the podcast was one of them that I put on there. So I started, I'm just got to get back into it, refresh it. That's all. So I mean, my mind be going. I be up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, because I usually work nights.
Yeah.
Thinking of some stuff. And I be like, you know what, you need to go to bed.
Yeah.
Always thinking of some new stuff.
Yeah. I might as well get it done while you living.
For real.
Yes.
Might as well just go for it.
That's how I feel. Yeah. So you got your t-shirt on right
now. Yes. So this is my different bag, different brag shirt for my champagne shirt line.
Yeah.
It features my pinky fingers up. That's the motto that Nicole was talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just this. So this slogan came from last year when I got into the travel nursing when I went to Texas. And I'm like, I done really came out here to Texas to work. I'm like, wow. It was just like such a good feeling. I'm like, I said I was going to do it, and I done came out here and I done did it. And I was like, I was joking around. I'm like, it's a different bag. I'm making a lot. Making, nice money to be able to afford the life that I want.
Right.
So I'm like, it's a different bag. It's a different brag. I can brag different now. And I work for everything that I've accomplished, everything that I have, everything that I'm able to do now. So that's where the pinky finger lifestyle came into. I developed that in nursing school when I was like struggling. I was broke because I wasn't really working. I couldn't do stuff. I had to be like, I can't go do this. I ain't got no gas today. Can't come here and do this. And I was like, pinky finger lifestyle is luxury. It's we think pinkies. Why you got your pink finger up, bougie? I'm like, it's luxury. Right. It's obtaining a lifestyle that you want to live, to be able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, without restriction.
Right.
So that's where that comes in. It's everything that it's supposed to be. So I'm trying to work that into some. I'm working on like some graphics for that, because I got like this bomb idea that I'm trying to bring to life. I'm trying to find somebody to help me bring that to life. But so that came about, like I said, when I was in like nursing school, and then this slogan came about last year. So I was like, I'm like, everybody, this has been hot. The different bag, different brag. This has been hot. So getting that out there, and it's like I said, not about the money, just the freedom. It's mentality to not give up. That goes back to the nursing student. To get to that life, you got to be dedicated. You got to be committed to live that life that you want. Like right now, I've been off work for a month, a little bit longer than a month.
Okay.
And I mean, because of everything I've worked hard to do, I'm able to be off and not miss a beat. Like blessed. I'll be sitting there. I'm like, wow. I'm able to take off for work, and it's on my terms, not because I got laid off or anything like that. Exactly. So I'm like, this is what it is. This is what I work for. This lifestyle. So it feels amazing.
Yeah,
it definitely feels amazing.
That's great. But you know what? I like a story that you shared on Facebook. It really was like touching because, you and your boyfriend, like you said, you've been together for 3 years now. But the story that you shared on Facebook when it was his birthday. You all first got together, and she was saying she didn't have the money. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have the money, and you said you still wanted to spend. He wanted you to spend his birthday with him. But you went on Groupon and you got some things, together best as you could. Yeah. And now you're seeing the fruits of your labor now. So people, they really, when we said like, they don't know your story. They don't know your
They don't
story.
know. He did, and he only found that out. So tomorrow's actually our anniversary, so I'll tell y'all a little bit about that story. So yeah, we had met. I had actually met him right when I found out I wasn't passing nursing school. So I was like distraught. He was like, maybe a week later, he like, something wrong with you. What's wrong with you? And I did not tell him for like weeks because I was like, I didn't want to, I just wasn't ready to talk about it at that time. Like I was an emotional wreck when I found that out. And so yeah, it was his birthday. He's like, oh, I'm gonna spend, time with my friend or whatever. And I liked him. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, Mom, I want to take this guy out I met. I'm like, but I ain't got no money. And I had got a text for some free tickets to the Improv. So Improv in Schaumburg. They sent me some free tickets. And I was like, okay, we go do that. And it's a nice place. I'm like, he said he had never been. I'm like, okay. Then I had found a couple things on Groupon. I think I got some stuff to go to breakfast one day. We had went out to like the arcade room. I'm like, okay, we're going to have a nice little weekend. He at the time of his life, and he knew nothing. I never like disclosed to him like that I didn't have money, at that time that I was struggling, not because I was hiding and I wasn't walking around like I was living no lavish lifestyle. I was just like, okay, you don't know how I'm making stuff happen. I'm making it happen. I have a great time. Even now, even though I'm making more money, I have a great time on a budget. That's how you keep having, money to spend. Like,
you
don't blow your money.
Right, I be seeing them videos. We be on the rooftops and stuff. I'm like, look at her on a weekday. I'm like, shoot.
Yeah, so we had that great time. We was joking around with his friends, and he was like, I think we was just talking about spending money on Groupon. I said, he don't even know our first date I took him on was a free date. And I said, you had the time of your life. Like, and look at us 3 years later. Stop it. It did so. Last month for his birthday, we went to the Bahamas. So that was just, I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Our first birthday together, we was on a free date. And I said, we out here in the middle of the ocean, enjoying the Bahamas. So that was really like a, coming home type thing. Like, I'm like, it didn't really paid off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was really a good experience and good feeling, to experience that together.
That is so nice, Janine.
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead. Oh, okay. Okay, so I see now that you are actually paying it forward. You have a group on Facebook, and you have a lot of people on there, recruiters, nurses, a little bit of everyone in this group.
Yeah, so the idea started, so it's the Champagne Nurse Blueprint Contracts and Combos on Facebook. It started actually because I got kicked out of another group. I had made this post after I was in the airport, coming home from my contract in Texas, and I was feeling good. I'm like, dang, I didn't stay down here. I was supposed to only be here for 4 weeks. I stayed down here for 8 weeks. It was I was just like on like just a success high or something. So I made this post. I'm like, people told me, I had instructors tell me that I should have changed careers. That they told me, you ain't cut out to be a nurse. This ain't for you. You should go do something else. Wow. You got a messed up attitude. They like, oh, you need to do this. They like, oh, you can't do traveling.
Oh, wow.
You can't do traveling with less than 2 years experience. I did it in a year. They said you weren't going to be a nurse. Right. Look at me now. People has been telling me from the beginning to change careers. They said that with the different jobs, it's like, oh, you're not gonna get a job right out of school in a hospital. My first job I got in there in less than 6 months in a hospital. I said everything that people told me I couldn't do and wouldn't do, I've done and more. So I made this post, I was like, they're telling you can't travel and do this, you can't do this. They telling you can't take vacation days off. I've had at least 2 vacations built into each of my contracts for every time for this past year. I take 2 vacations. I said, they said you can't work the holidays. I ain't working the holidays. I said, so don't let somebody tell you you can't. I said, I'm proof. I said, people have told me no, don't let nobody tell me no. You're not gonna tell me no. So I posted this and it did numbers. Like I got like 5K likes. People were sharing it. And I don't know what happened. One day it was just gone. Like the post was gone. And then I posted in the group. I guess I made them mad. I was like, wow. I'm like, they deleted my post. I'm about to start. And I was like, they deleted my post. I'm like, for whatever reason. And so they had blocked me out the group.
What?
And so the next day I'm like, and I have been thinking about starting my own group because I had got a lot of people when I made that post. They was DMing me and reaching out to me. They like, oh my God, you know, that's the motivation I needed. You know, thank you. Like, how did you do this? Like, you know, congratulations. You know, like really nice, positive feedback. And I was like, oh, you should do a book. You should do this. You should do that. And so I was like, maybe I should start a group because people have been asking me since I started the journey, like, how you get this contract? How you go over here? How you do this? And it's just really me just sharing my experience. And so I was like, yeah, kick me out. I got on Facebook. I'm like, don't worry about it. I said I'm starting my own group tomorrow, and I launched the group. And this was in January, and I'm at 1.1K members now. Yeah, and I've essentially one of my friends was kind of collabing with me on it, but she's not like really into social media. So she's like, I want to help you, but I'm not big on social media. But she like bounces the ideas with me. But I've like literally like built the group. Myself and put it in there, and I just, you know, give my feedback, little tips like how you find a contract, what you look for in a contract, resumes. People was like, oh, how you make your resume? You know, I put out a resume, what is
like
it? Template, yeah. Resume template for people. So it's primarily nurses. We got some students. We got lots of recruiters. I try to get to like the ancillary, so like the CNAs, the RTs, the MPs, so some of everybody in there, so it's well diverse. And it's just, you know, come in here, vent, you know, we share experiences, resources, different things like that, because that was how I got started. Going in a group, talking to different people, like, hey, can I DM you? How you do this? What should I do about this? A couple of recruiters actually were really good resources when I was starting out, and they let me DM them and answer questions and gave me insight. So I was very informed going into the traveling. So the group has been really great. I've connected with a lot of people, a lot of good people, and I'd be like, all right, I'm looking for a contract. Hey, you got somebody you can send me so I can look at, you know, for
like network.
Yeah, definitely. What they say, your network is your net worth.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah, that's good. Is that group on Facebook?
It's on Facebook. Okay. So it's Travel Nurse Blueprint, Contracts and Combos on Facebook. And then I also created the IG from the feedback that I received from a lab I did. So the IG is TNBP_contracts and combos on Instagram. So definitely healthcare providers, healthcare workers, go in there. There's some good information. Make sure you follow us, keep up with that. I also did the NCLEX sponsorship, which actually goes today, and I'm transparent on everything that I'm doing. So with that, it didn't go as well as I thought it would. Nobody applied.
Can you explain a little bit what you're talking about?
So it's the NCLEX fees are the NCLEX is what nurses have to take after they graduate. So a lot of people don't know. Yeah, once we graduate school, we can't just go and work. We have to pass state boards. Yeah, and the NCLEX is kind of pretty petty. It's anywhere depending on the state that you're in, like $200 to $400. So the background of me wanting to do this give back was when I graduated school, I didn't have the money to take my test. So I finished school in October, and I had to wait to test until December because I had to wait until I got the money to be able to pay for the test. And so a lot of people don't know that's why, you know, it took me so long to get my license and start working, because I couldn't take the test because I didn't have the money at the time. So, you know, what a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people got to stop working or whatever, you know, so we kind of fall into a financial hardship trying to finish school. So, me and my friend that does the group with me, Myrna, we were talking about it. She's like, oh, we should do it. I'm like, you know, I have been thinking about that. I wanted to do some sort of give back. And I was like, you know, that would be good. I was like, you know, because this is what I went through it in class. She's like, I didn't know. She's like, you should have told me, I would have paid. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna figure it out.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's just what I did. And I was like, you know, I'm in such a good place right now and have been so blessed this last year.
Yeah.
I want to give back. And, you know, somebody else might be going through the same thing.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And do that. So, I mean, unfortunately, it didn't go as good this time, but I'm relaunch it. I'll do it again in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah, nobody applied. So I don't know. I have to go back and look. I think a lot of people might have thought it was a scam, maybe. I'm like, I can see, because they like, well, why this girl just, why she just want to do this? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, because I'm like, I know a few people, and it's been out there. It's circulating. It's on TikTok and on Instagram and on Facebook. And then I collab with recruiter Nikki.
Yeah.
She did the collab with me to do part of the sponsorship. So it's circulating.
Yeah. Because I know I shared it on my page. I was like, I wish I knew somebody that was in nursing school, because I would definitely tell them about it. Because any little thing you get financially,
it helps.
I mean, it helps a lot. It's a relief.
Yeah. And that's one less thing to worry about while you're trying to study, you know, for your test.
Yeah.
Pay for it, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I do plan on doing it again in the fall for the December class. Because usually, you know, it's the spring, summer class, and then it's the fall class. So I plan on doing it again. Then hopefully every year it'll be a twice a year thing.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of like linking up with like a school?
I have some. So the school that I was at, I'm friends with a couple of my instructors, but I don't know how often they check their stuff, because I'm like, oh, they can share it, and that'll be an easy. Yeah. So I'm trying. That's another thing. Working on my networking. I just gotta get it circulated to the right people, because I think right now I don't have enough following of nursing students. That's what I think it is. I think most of them are licensed. They active.
They already.
Yeah. So that's what I think primarily that it is. So you know, just working. I'm confident by fall. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice, and I'll be able to do that and sponsor somebody for that. So I mean, I'm still excited about it. I think it's something really good. I just gotta get it in the right eyes.
I would say definitely, you know, the schools like Governor State or Prairie State, you know, places that they have those
the nursing program.
And then maybe get in contact with like the advisors there or somebody at the school. Put it up on them billboards or whatever. It definitely takes time, and it's definitely needed. So I wouldn't stop.
I think people probably, with all the scam and stuff, was like, this might be a scam. That's what I think. So we gonna see, and like I said, it's about 6 months from now how it goes.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all for having me.
Yes. So you want to let everybody know again where they can reach the Champagne Nurse?
Pinkies up.
Yes. So the nurse page is Travel Nurse Blueprint Contracts and Combos on Facebook. We're also on Instagram at TNBP_contracts letter N combos. And then for those that want to keep up with me and everything that I'm doing, the real estate venture, travel nursing, life, you can follow me at _champagne_nurse on Instagram. To keep up with everything, because I definitely share the journey. I try to share the journey with the whole real estate landlord situation too. So so it's definitely a lot to keep up with, and then make sure you guys are tuned in for the Champagne Nurse Unscripted to catch episode 3. In the meantime, catch up on episodes 1 and 2. And it's Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart, Audible. You can find that on just about any platform right now.
And you got a TikTok.
And TikTok, the Champagne Nurse. So TikTok, _champagne_nurse on TikTok. You can definitely check out a lot of my fun travel activities, things to do in Chicago. I post a little bit of everything. All things lifestyle.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for taking the time out to be on our show. I think our listeners will really get a lot of value from this episode with you being on it. So I really appreciate you being on.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. So we want to thank Janique for coming on the show today.
Yes, she dropped them gems.
Yes, she did. So we just want to thank her again. Make sure y'all follow and support, all that good stuff. Yes, so we're going to do today's closeout takeaway, and it is actually from Martin Luther King.
Okay.
So,
MLK.
Yes. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward.
Okay.
And that is from Martin Luther King Jr. I love it. It speaks for itself.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about that on the episode for sure. So.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
So make sure you all follow us on our Instagram page at Real Conversations 21. If you would like to be a guest on our show, make sure you can email us or DM us on Instagram. Our email is realconversations21@gmail.com. And make sure you click the link in our bio to keep up to date with any giveaways, any sponsorships that we have going on. Make sure you check us out on our Instagram page.
Yes. And also on TikTok, Sheeta and Nikki. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, which is Real Conversations with Sheeta and Nikki podcast.
Yeah.
As Sheeta likes to say, become part of our family.
Yes, join the crew.
Yes. Come on, y'all. And make sure that you continue to watch for new episodes.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Peace.
Unreal.